Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of the Corolla build, I guess you're going to call it. Where I left off last time, I'd gotten both engines out, swapped over power steering racks, and started disassembling the interiors and getting the wiring organised. I've noticed this car has better bushings. Some of them are actually polyurethane. So today I'm just going to be working on the rear subframe and the fuel system, and I'll probably get up the front as well and change over the oil cooler and the air conditioning as well. So I'm getting the air conditioning degas today, so that way I can swap over the AC pumps and everything should go back together the way it was.
Alright, listen.
Alright, just about ready to pull the fuel tanks out of both the cars. Now you want to just unplug the wiring. That's the fuel level sensor. So this whole cap will probably go through the hole. And in the other car, same deal, except there's more wires because of the fuel pump. So not only do we have to change the fuel tanks, we've also got to pull out all this wiring which runs through the whole car so that the fuel pump will work. These two hoses here are for the fuel filler door and the fill neck. Now in both cars these are in the same location, so I can just undo this coupling here and then undo these two straps, that bolt there and the one over there. Now these straps are hinged back there, so you basically just hinge the whole thing down and pull the fuel tank out without hitting yourself in the head. Alright, rubber's undone, now we're ready to undo the straps. I've just got a jack supporting the fuel tank, so it'll help me lower it down gently. Two fuel lines side by side here. They're pretty much the same shape, except the carbureted engine accepts just a rubber fitting and a clamp, whereas this is a threaded fuel line at both ends, and that end threads into the fuel filter, whereas that would just lead to another hose and the filter, which is a different type. Now there are two other fuel lines, which I think one of them is like a vent and the other is a return line. Alright, so it turns out this return line was smaller as well, so I've just changed that over. So this return line and that fuel feed line have just been swapped over from the white car over there. So now the fuel tank from the white car as well will connect up to these, so we can put the fuel tank back in, rear subframe, and we can actually start putting things back together instead of taking them apart for once. You can see it's night time now, so I did manage to get everything done today that I hoped to. The fuel tanks got swapped, rear subframe, handbrake cables, rear brakes, everything like that. The oil cooler and the air conditioning has been swapped over. So I'm just waiting on some parts, and then I'm going to do a quick service on the engine, like a timing kit, you know, some axle seals, things like that, leads and spark plugs. Once that engine's serviced, I can put that back in. There's nothing stopping me from getting that in now. And next time I'll probably focus on the interior, because that's just going to be pulling out literally everything and swapping over the whole wiring harness. So I'll hopefully smash out the interior, and then the last thing will be chucking the engine back in and hopefully turning the key, and that'll be that. Alright, so we got that mess of cables to deal with, and they come along here, run along here to the fuel tank. We got wires going up to the dome light, we got wires for the speakers, interior lights, tail lights. So I'm gonna have to pull this whole loom out. Alright, that's the steering column and the dash support, and the dash itself is actually out. It's pretty involved getting all of this wiring out. There you can see that blue grommet there ran through the firewall and the quarter panel area. So I've had to chase it all the way. Excuse me. Chase it all the way through this hole. There was wires going through that hole. There's wires going through this hole and running all the way along up the top here. Which popped out here to one of the fuse boxes. So we're going to chase that all the way back. And we are left with just a big old pile of wires. But the things you do, eh? I've forgotten what day it is, but where I left off last time was pulling the wiring out of the white car, and now I'm going to pull the wiring out of this car, pull the dash out, and actually start reinstalling some things. Hopefully all the connectors are the same, things for like the dome light, the door switches, the tail lights, hopefully they're all the same. Everything else in here just gets replaced, so it doesn't really matter that that's different or not. So yeah, I'll cut to another time lapse, and then hopefully I can give you an update on actually getting the engine back in the car and getting this thing finished. Alright, we've made a massive mess trying to get to all these old wires and stuff. Now, if you are doing this swap yourself at home, luckily for us all the wires are color coded. So, I've had to cut the loom both the looms. So the new loom from the white car, I had to cut the lights to the parcels. I had to cut the wires to the parcel shelf light, which are these two, which run up to there, and these wires, which have been cut and joined, they run the light in the boot, which is just in a completely different spot. That's why the wiring's a nightmare. This wire up here has to get cut and joined into the new loom. And the tail light plugs are different plugs. And also the number plate lights are in two different spots. So you really got to run wires for those. And then cut the plugs off both looms and then rewire them in so you can plug your tail lights in. Now in the white car there's also a windscreen wiper in the boot lid. So I've traced all those wires to here, and they're not required because this car doesn't actually have a rear windscreen wiper. So you just cut those off and tape them up. But yeah, this is the mess I'm talking about. Anyway, I'll finish up the wiring to the body loom now, and then I can put the interior back together, which will help clean up a lot of this mess. And after that I'll check back in and we'll start focusing on engine maintenance. Alright, it's getting dark now, but I did manage to get the new dash cluster in, plugged everything in except the ECU. The dash is back in. I actually swapped that one because this one has less cracks in it. There we go, interior's back together, back seats are back in. Boot's back together, all the tail lights are wired in. It's just some stereo equipment that I pulled out. So there's finally light at the end of the tunnel. That'll be it for today. Running out of light, so we'll pick up probably tomorrow, see how far we can get. I do have to go to the shops, so that's always a killer, but once I come back from the shops, we can do the engine maintenance, throw the engine back in the car, and that'll be it. So we'll see you then.